All right.
Welcome.
I was like, who's starting? Is it you or me? Or?
Welcome to the very first ever in person live Taco Tuesday. We have an audience here. You guys might not be able to see at home while you're watching, but we did it. We did it.
So we are here in Salt Lake City. Everyone in the room has traveled a great distance to get here, except for me, Bobby, Carrie. The rest of us, we probably traveled a good 15 minutes to get here.
Couple minutes
to get here. And so we did it, guys. This is a big occasion because this is the first time that we have ever done a show in person.
This is the first day we've ever met in person.
Which is so weird to me.
And this is like our 80th episode, too. We're like almost 100 episodes in of Taco Tuesday. Let's talk about insurance for those of you who have been watching.
So we're here with someone who's been on a guest on the show before, someone who probably was responsible for one of our most well-received episodes. We have Lester Kahn with Agent Pipeline here today.
Glad to be on. I'm not sure what I did to stir up excitement, but I'm glad to be on.
Lester is one of our speakers, and we're just really, really excited to have him here. So thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Glad to encounter the bromance in person.
It seems like you missed the haircut, though.
I did. My head is not beautiful naked.
I wouldn't say
some people can pull it off, some people cannot. I cannot.
Fair enough.
I have a lumpy head. It's going to stay covered up.
You don't know until you try this. Maybe we should start shaving people's heads.
All right. So, how long? Let's start to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Right? So
let's do it.
How long have you both been here at the hotel so far?
An hour?
A couple of hours?
Less than an hour?
Yeah.
Probably 40 minutes.
Long enough to know better?
Yeah.
What has been your early impression so far of the crowd?
Horrible conference. Awful people.
So, someone comes in the lobby in the last 45 minutes, they see Danielle Kunkel-Roberts of Boomer Benefits out just chilling out in the hallway. No. Ryan Kimball out just chilling out in the hallway. Rebecca Davis just chilling out in the hallway, right? There's a lot of really...
And I think that was the part that was like my first impression when I was changing the bathroom because my room wasn't ready. My first impression was that it already felt like there was a lot of people here.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like tomorrow or later tonight when everyone's here, I think there's going to be a lot.
So what would you say that people should look forward to the most for the next couple of days? There's one thing that jumps out at you like, I'm really excited for this.
Lester, what do you think?
Buddy, the lineup is amazing. So it's really hard to pick one out of that lineup. Like, I understand that a crime wasn't just committed, and I'm trying to remember who it was, but the lineup is amazing. You really can't go wrong with any of the speakers. So that's what I'm excited about. I know the content's going to be off the hook. So, if you can't take something home from this conference, you may be brain dead.
Yeah. I think for me, like I've been to a lot of events in the industry the last couple of years. And I think that these kind of things right here, right, these open dialogues, these conversations, I think is where the most nuggets and golds can be grabbed that you can apply into your business just by having conversations with people outside. Of course, the content is great, right? The speakers are all going to bring a lot of unique information to your business to the table. And I don't think anybody really steps on anybody's toes. I think we have a lot of diversity here. But I think being able to have conversations outside of the event.
In person, too. I mean, we're coming out of COVID land, right? I mean, a lot of people are traveling for the first time, over the past couple months. So I'm most excited probably about networking in person. I think tonight's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Just time just for networking with everybody. I think there's going to be a ton of excitement with everyone getting here. And that's what I'm probably personally looking forward to the most is just trying to talk to everybody, meet everybody. I was at an event earlier this year. It was smaller than this, and I still didn't get to talk to everybody. So that's my concern is I'm not going to get to everybody by the time the event's over. So I'm gonna be a man on a mission tonight, try to see if I can, play, kiss babies, shake hands, the presidential wave. So
the presidential wave.
Work in a room.
That's right.
That's what it's all
That's
about.
right.
So I wanted to ask you both something, and I don't want you to spill the beans on your presentations, of course, right? So, but I was curious to know, I got a message from somebody literally earlier today.
Anonymous? Are you going to out this person?
No. But I got a message literally today, like, listen, I'm at a place where I'm just getting started. I don't know where to get started in growing my business. If someone sent you that message, what would you reply? If you had to tell them something in paragraph form, if you will, this is where I would go. This is where I would start from ground zero.
I would get on a plane and I would get to Salt Lake as quickly as possible. I think it's a really good place to start. There's so many avenues, though. The opportunities in the space are endless. The marketing avenues are way beyond. I had a conversation with your dad this morning. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but marketing today versus marketing 20 years ago, it doesn't even look similar. Like the opportunities are really endless. You just have to apply yourself, learn as much as you can, as quickly as you can, and go to work.
Yep.
I think the senior insurance space, I got in almost a decade ago, and the senior insurance space, when I first got into the industry, it was almost non-existent. There was very little community, very little content. And now it's so, again, like even the idea of this event is crazy. When I first got into the industry, there was such little information. There was no Facebook groups. There was very few books about any type of senior insurance related product. So I think there's a ton of opportunity. An event like this, obviously, if you're brand new, would definitely kickstart your career. Being able to talk to people all across the spectrum, marketers, some of the greatest salespeople in the industry that'll be here, people who run call centers, people who sell face-to-face. The whole gamut, So I think I really believe in the saying, your network is your net worth. Another saying that I really like is you're the average of, 5 people closest to you. So as cliche as the get in the room, right, is, I definitely think that's beneficial for sure.
Yeah. I feel like for me,
I like your watch, by the way.
Thanks, it's brand new.
Oh,
it's literally brand new. I literally bought it so I wouldn't be shown up by anybody.
I hope you get.
And I probably will still be.
I'm sure you will.
But it's all, whatever's in my control, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like something that's really been interesting to me lately, right, is maybe the trend in marketing we've seen since even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? From like 2 years ago, we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? People literally are not able to do face-to-face in a lot of areas.
Right.
Everything shifts to over the phone, right? Now I feel like because of that, there's a lot of things that have come down from a compliance standpoint and things like that. People are, do you guys feel like, because both of you talk with a lot of agents on a routine basis, from very different perspectives, right? From a lead generation perspective, and then on the FMO side with Agent Pipeline with you, Lester. You feel like agents are changing the way they're marketing with things going on right now?
If they're not, I should say if they haven't, they're going to see an impact to their business rather quickly. Yeah. Most agents have at least started the process of adapting to a more telephonic environment. Virtual appointments they're easy, right? Yeah. Right. We've gone from it was almost impossible to now it's not only possible, it's supported, it's compliant. You don't have to worry about it. The change is pretty significant, and still 2 years into a pandemic, a lot of clients still want to do business virtually. So it continues to grow. Most agents have either begun to adapt or have completely adapted their business. I talked to a guy this week, was 100% face-to-face, and he hasn't run an appointment in a year and a half. Everything's over the phone. So it's shifting. Technology is growing and catching up to where it should have been. Got spurred along because of the pandemic for the carriers to participate with us. But the industry's come a long way in a very short period of time. And I don't think it's slowing down. Technology has taken off. So it's not going to slow down.
No, I totally agree. I think, retention is one of those topics that's really hot that's being discussed about a ton. I was talking to actually a call center that we work with at Lead Heroes this morning on my way to the airport. And he was talking about how that's really going to be a huge focus for him because, and I kind of feel like I know where you were going when it was kind of a loaded question. I feel like you asked.
Yeah.
Like you were like, okay, are things swinging back towards face-to-face, right? Is the pendulum, because COVID's no longer the threat that it was, are we going to start seeing face-to-face become more front and center like it has been in the past? I don't really see that being the case. I think there will be more face-to-face business happening now than in the last couple of years. But the call I had this morning with this client is talking about like the market space in general. What does the average senior want? I think the average senior probably just wants to be able to pick up the phone and be done with it. Very similar to like auto insurance, right? Like how many people have an auto insurance agent come to their house and they sit down and they go through their rates? I mean, I don't know if I've ever in my life met an auto insurance agent face to face to transact business.
So it's funny you bring that up. 5 years ago, I was living in Florida, and I had a car insurance agent then, and never met him ever. And he got back in touch with me this year, and I didn't remember who he was.
He's trying to get your policy back on the books?
No, he wanted to sell Medicare.
Oh, he's getting
and
out.
so but that is a great example of that right there. Even 5 years ago in the auto insurance space, like he did my policy for him while I was in Florida, and I was like, never met him ever.
Yeah.
Like,
and you were there.
Still haven't met him.
He was local to you, but you never met. Okay,
yes.
I see it. Yeah,
he was living in Florida when I was, and like I still haven't met him.
Yeah, so I think that's the future, right? I think people want to be able to transact business without having to sit down face to face. So, there's so much pushback against the call center model, against the telesales model. We hear so many people talking about the complaints from call centers, but the reality is that's still most likely the future. Whether that's, how it evolves will be interesting to see how it unfolds. But regardless, I still think that's going to be the future of the industry.
Yeah. To Christian's point, though, that's the past of the P&C industry. So we're still playing catch up with the capabilities in the industry. So we're still playing catch up there. The baby boomers now who are aging into the market, they want to do business either online, over the phone. They don't need that, belly to belly conversation. And the more people age in, the more we're going to see it. So it's not going away. It's just, are we adapting to fit what we're seeing?
Right.
I will say we're seeing a revival of seminars.
Yeah.
Right. But probably still less individual face-to-face appointments, but a lot more seminar marketing, at least in the areas that have opened up quicker. We're seeing a whole lot more seminar marketing.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
I've seen a lot too.
There's several people I spot even in this room that are crushing it with seminars. Like Lori, you've done events really successfully for a really long time. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'd love for you to come talk about it, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It's all good. I love you either way. But there's several people in this room that have just done really great with seminars for a long time, probably even before the pandemic took place. And I feel like that's a great way to do business. I feel like if the way I look at it is, if we were behind as an industry, I think 2020 helped us catch up by 5 years.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It was kind of forced it to catch up.
There were carriers that didn't have electronic applications for COVID. There were a few carriers, I won't mention any by name. But I remember specifically at the start of COVID where people were like scrambling because they couldn't submit it electronically and like the carriers didn't have people in office. It was just a disaster. So yeah, it's wild to see how far behind the industry. I mean, insurance in general, I feel like is behind a lot. But to your point, Lester, I think the Medicare space specifically is behind the curve with technology.
And we've seen a couple of med-sup carriers come out this year. We actually began last year, and they no longer provide a paper app in any way, shape, or form. If you want to do business, you're going to move into the digital age.
Right.
So it's good and terrible to see that because we do still have that older population that does like a paper app, but you're not going to do business with those carriers. So adapt and overcome, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple carriers locally here in Utah that if you submit a paper app, they cut your commissions.
Oh wow!
Like they'll literally pay you less.
That's great. I didn't realize that.
And
well, there's been
no names or anything.
and that's been in the contract with some of the big MA carriers. They've just never enforced it, that they can reduce comp by X dollars. Nobody reads it, and they've never enforced it, but it's in there. So things to be aware of. They could always pull that trigger.
It's extra work for them, right?
Absolutely.
They have to facilitate a fax, and then they have to file it and process it. That's got to be, significantly more expensive for them.
I have a question that I'm really interested to hear the answer from both of you guys, because I think it's really two very unique perspectives of you both. So for me, what I look at the purpose of this event is to do two things. Number one, help somebody make it in this business that might be starting out. Okay. Whether they're getting the recording of speakers or whether they're here in person, which I obviously think is better.
Yeah.
But we know there's a huge turnover rate.
Right.
So number one, we want agents not to fail. Number two, we want agents that are doing okay to do great.
Right.
Right. What do you feel like holds? What do you think is the reason why a lot of agents either don't make it completely, or maybe they don't reach their full potential? Right. Loaded question, and I know that, but I'm interested to hear both your perspective, because you've both been doing this in the business a long time. You've both been around a lot of agents. There's got to be some trends you see over and over again, right?
Oh yeah.
Loaded question. For sure.
So, I came ready.
But what I love, and Glenn kind of went down this road a little bit earlier, what I love about the industry today compared to even 5 years ago, we're more collaborative than we are competitive.
Yeah.
Meaning there is absolutely no lack of information. So as long as you're willing to do the research, or you're willing to watch a YouTube video, like, it's really not hard to find the information. I saw this quote not too long ago. We have a flood of knowledge and a drought of wisdom. So the key is not knowledge. The knowledge is there. We're in a very collaborative industry now, getting better every day. So the knowledge base is there, but do we have the mentorship that it takes to translate that from, yes, I know this works. It works, in this part of the country, or it works with this market, but can I put it into practice? Yeah. So that's a big piece of it. But there's, information is no longer an excuse. The other thing, I think that the primary thing that causes failure is just not fully appreciating what it takes those first 2 years in the business, building a book that gives you a comfort level, and not being prepared for it. So whether that's, some capital investment that's going to get you through, learning the ropes, so to speak, or not having that mentor to help you through it. But it's all available. Every bit of it's available in the industry. And again, it's what I appreciate about what groups like this are doing is stimulating that collaborative environment in the industry, rather than we're holding our secrets to our vest because somehow they're going to benefit me in my grave.
Right.
And
that used to be that was like, I remember when I came into the industry, that kind of seemed to be the way most of it went. Right?
It was the way.
I'm not going to tell you anything I'm doing. Unless you want to come work for me, then maybe I'll let you in on a secret. Right. But yeah, it's kind of flipped now, where it's like, I'm going to publicly share my secrets on how I'm successful, on what I'm doing, marketing, recruiting, whatever it is, in hopes that you're going to come work with me, or work with the group, or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's really completely flipped on its head in a good way. And I think, back to your point, I think that's going to increase the retention of agents who stay in the business. What was the Utah stat because you said to renew your license, right?
Yeah. So I went through continuing education, which was so much fun.
Yeah, see.
Yes. For continuing education. And the instructor that we've used for a long time here in Utah.
Wait, you were in a face-to-face seat?
No, it was a Zoom thing, but like,
I was like, wow.
But this individual used to come to our office and do face-to-face CEs for 20 of us at a time. And so we had a lot of history with him, and he gave a statistic, and I posted it right when I heard it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the exact stat was, but I think it was like 90% of agents that get their license don't renew it in the state of Utah even once. What was it, 90?
It was.
You might remember better than I
thought
do.
it was like 12% of only 12% of agents renew their license. It was something.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was something like
Yeah,
that.
it was like 12% of agents renew their license one time.
Yeah.
So 88% do not renew their license ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Which was,
There's so many reasons for that.
yeah.
Like you have to think through why are agents getting licensed for the first time? They've been
Right.
recruited to the industry by someone, and it's a favorite talking point of mine because I think it's something as an industry we are not very good at is recruiting people to the industry. So they get recruited in and they get a license to work in a PNC shop or to be a secretary at
Right.
a life and health agency, and they just don't like it, aren't paid enough. I mean, it's a very competitive job market right now, but it's been this way for a long time. For whatever reason, they don't find success early enough or see a path to success, so they jump out. The challenge we have now is we don't have enough new agents coming into the industry that are building books of business
Right.
to even keep up with the growth in the senior market specifically. There's just not enough new agents. Our agent population is aging tremendously. I've seen statistics anywhere from the average Medicare agent is between 63 to 68 years old.
Oof, that's even older
So
than I would have guessed.
They're
Wow,
aging.
that's
We don't
insane.
Yeah, that's
we
insane.
don't have
That's crazy.
fresh blood in the industry.
Christian brings that average down by
He does. I mean,
30%.
listen, look at all these gray hairs. I even bring that average down a little bit. But it's a dynamic that we see, that folks have been in it for a while.
Right.
We don't have the career agents that are being recruited to the industry like we did 10 years ago. There just aren't as many of them. So, it's a huge lack. Every carrier will tell you the same thing. We need young, tech savvy, hungry agents that are coming into the space. And we've done a poor job of bringing enough and attracting enough new talent to the industry.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's been interesting for me is like when I was newer in the business, like Glenn said a second ago, there was no Facebook groups, right? And there was no online communities. I think for most of us in this room, online communities probably brought a lot of us together.
Sure.
And so some people say that the online communities are bad for the industry. They're bad for this. They're bad for that. I disagree with that. I feel like they are free-flowing information. Certain things, like you said a second ago, Lester, they can't stay behind a curtain forever. And I feel like when I started, all the agents I knew were around that age demographic, right? Maybe 60 to 70 years old, most of them.
Yeah.
Very, very few people that I knew that were maybe even under 40 or
Right.
50. And I remember when I started getting into the Facebook groups and started building ours, I started to get connected with a ton of people that were 25 to 35 to maybe 40.
Yeah.
And that was so cool to me because I was like, oh, you exist? I'm like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. And but I feel like I love where the industry's going.
Yeah.
When I meet some of these really amazing, talented next generation agents. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I won't throw myself in there, but there's tons of people that come to mind when I say that. But I don't want to forget anybody, leave anybody out, so I'm not going to say anybody at all. But
it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, it's almost too easy to get licensed, but on the other hand, like you said, Lester, we don't have enough agents, right?
Yeah.
So it's this difficult because from my point of view, when I'm looking at a lot of these call center owners as an example, they'll go out and they'll recruit, 20, 30, 40, 50 people a week. And they're just flashing comp. They're not even talking about really what that job entails, or they'll be, we'll pay you to get licensed. Just go get your license. And that it's stuff like that causes the retention of agents to drop significantly. But the flip side is the agents who are career agents are retiring. We do have the silver tsunami of baby boomers coming, where we're going to see really, double of what the current Medicare beneficiary base is in the next decade. We're going to go from 30, 40 million to 70, 80 million Medicare benefit. Who's going to service these beneficiaries?
But I think
Robots? Agent robots?
Let's not go there. Lester, I think you might have told me this once upon a time, and maybe not, but I can't remember who told me this. I think it was you, but if you broke down all the Medicare beneficiaries and equally distributed them out to every agent, each agent would have like 2,000 clients or something.
Yeah.
That's
but the problem
crazy.
is you have 80% of your agents with 3 clients.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody else is trying to keep up with the rest of it.
Hey,
So,
it's 4 agents. Isn't it 4 clients a year? Isn't that the average, right?
Is that it? 4 or 5 a year, something
it's
like that?
higher
Is
than
that
that. The
4
numbers
per AEP? What?
I can't.
It's like between 6 and 7 per carrier for AEP is the average.
That's wild. That's like 1 a week. It's the
Right.
average agent.
Right. Per carrier. So say they've got 8 carriers.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they wrote 40 apps.
I've got a question for both of you that I think is a spicy one.
Ooh.
Which one's more important in your
Spicy.
business? Marketing or sales, and why?
Are they not the same?
I look at them as different.
Every sales agent in the room says, I do it all.
Yeah.
But so like if someone has to, let's say, master one or the other, marketing or sales,
Marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Yeah. I'm biased. I'm significantly biased. I'm scared to even answer the question.
It's one of my
Yeah.
pet phrases, though. The easiest part of the insurance business is making a sale.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
sitting in front of a client, establishing,
Right.
here's the need, here's your situation, what makes the most sense for you. That is easy, especially with technology today. You just literally, you're a data entry clerk putting their zip code and their prescriptions into an online platform. Like sales are no longer hard. They're really not. But everybody will tell you the challenging part is not making the sale. It's finding the prospect to make the sale. So
right?
without question, you do not, I shouldn't say this, but you don't even have to be a good salesperson.
You don't. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You have to be available.
Totally.
I see so many bad salespeople or inexperienced. Maybe that's a nice way of
Bad
putting it.
salespeople.
Inexperienced salespeople who will make significantly more money than some of the most talented salespeople I know. And it comes back to what you said, Lester. It comes back to who's going to put in the time, who's putting in the work. So if you have the marketing figured out, you have the stream of prospects,
That's the key.
you can convert at a lower percentage and be a less efficient salesperson. There's another way of putting it.
I've encountered several agents that came from the call center world and the
Yeah.
independent world, and they struggle because they'll sell some obscene number of apps in a month, maybe 100, 200
Right.
a month or something.
Because
You know,
they're being fit.
They're being
Right.
fed.
And what I tell them is, I'm like, you are going from order taking to hunting,
Yes.
and you're being fed. You don't know how to hunt.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't feed you, you're starving.
We see it all the time. And with the turnover that you see in the call center space, we're seeing it more now than we ever have. But that's exactly right. And I'm not going to say they're not good salespeople. I think they are. Right? You still have to, in a call center sales position, you still have to convince the client they need to make a change. Right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't care if you agree with it. That's the goal of that salesperson, and they do good at it.
Right.
So I think they're good salespeople.
Right.
They've never had to become a marketer. They've never had to build and diversify lead flow. They've never had to do it on their own. So I've seen it over and over and over again.
Yep.
They jump out and go independent because I can do this for myself. And all of a sudden they find out the hardest part of this industry is finding prospects.
100%.
Yep, that's the truth.
Yeah, I came from a retail sales world before I got into insurance, and I think about it all the time, but there was such a consistent flow of people into that retail location, and I never really thought about it when I was just selling, right? I was just selling to the people who come in, but now that I have the experience as a marketer, when I look back, it's like, oh, okay, they were driving these people into the location constantly. They did direct mail, they did radio, they did online advertising, they did local advertising, they did billboards, right? I mean, they did all of that, and I was blind to it as a salesperson, just totally blind to it.
By the way, tell me no one in the room has seen the billboard.
I know, who's seen that?
I'm
Has
embarrassed by it, so I don't want anyone to see it. I just want you to all come here and go home when it's over.
Maybe we can like
Just go rent a bus and have a field
I've been
trip.
driving around for 2 days trying to find
Looking
it.
for it. I had them take it down. It's going back up Monday.
we should paint a mustache on your face.
Oh no!
Before
You've
we
seen
leave
Cobra,
town.
you've seen Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
First couple
Exactly.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear from some people in the audience.
Yeah.
I don't know
Absolutely.
if
Any
anybody wants to come
questions?
up and if
Yeah.
anybody wants to come up and say something.
If anybody
out
has
or-
a topic they want to throw at us.
So Jackie. No, just kidding. Okay, so I'd love to hear from anybody that wants to say, what are you looking to get out of this weekend? Just one thing.
Value.
What does that mean, though?
40 pages in the next.
40 pages or 4 pages?
40.
40 pages?
The whole
Okay.
thing.
Glenn, you need to talk a lot. So I think for me, and I actually heard Sandra Gephardt say this, who I think she's here. I don't know if she's here yet. She's either going to be here shortly or she's not. And I thought it was really insightful of what she said. She's like, when you're coming to an event,
Right.
you should do. I think she said you should have a hit list of people you want to meet. Right? Not a hit list.
I like that.
Not like a hit list,
list.
but like you have a list of
Hit
people
list.
you want to meet, like your top people. They're like, I want to make sure that I have a conversation with this person, and then you also have, what do I want to get out of this?
Who
Right.
do you want to take out? Where are you taking them after you take them out?
Where are you
No,
dumping
like
the body?
like I said though, like there were multiple people that I was bummed. I was at an event earlier this year, and there were multiple people I was bummed. And if I could go back and redo it again, I would have been a bit more aggressive about. Now that was a one-day event. That's the nice part.
You can't get too aggressive with our guests here.
Hey, stop! Come here.
You can't scare
Come
people
over here
back.
to this table right now.
People might not stay the whole weekend if you're too aggressive. Okay.
Glenn was yelling at me, and I decided to leave early. 1-star review for the summit.
Dislike.
Yeah.
Unsub.
Everyone, leave the group. We're leaving the group.
One other thing I wanted to talk about kind of openly with you guys was, where do you feel like our business is going in the next 10 years?
The Medicare space, kind of in general.
Senior sales,
Senior
final
sales.
expense, any of the above. Where do you feel like it's going? What does our business look like in 10 years?
I think we're seeing enough change in the industry now to have a pretty good idea of what it looks like. So I'm gonna take the question more from the agent's perspective. We should see continued improvement in technology. We should see continued improvement in product and product availability. You always have the naysayers like, what's going to happen? Medicare is going to go bankrupt and we're not going to have anything to sell, or
Right.
we're going to lower the Medicare age, or we're going to do Medicare for all, or whatever we do. There's always going to be a product, right? So I think you look at change creates opportunity, not change steals
100%.
opportunity. And again, there is absolutely no way that we keep up with the current baby boomer population. We can't do it with the current influx of agents. And frankly, we're seeing more agents come into the life space than we are the health space anyway. So the opportunity gets bigger every day. The question is less where's the market going, is where's my business going? How am I preparing for the influx? How am I building to not only to be able to sell. I'm not going on a boat and selling. How can I one sell, and how can I two scale? I think that's the question we have to ask of ourselves, and have less of a negative outlook on where the industry may go, or what the ever-changing political winds may be saying. But how am I preparing for what's going to happen? And a conversation I love to have is, again, most of our agents are not 35 years old, right? They're 55 years old. So are we thinking generationally? Are we thinking succession planning? What are we really building for future generations and changing our family tree? That's the types of conversations that we have to hold ourselves accountable to.
Yeah.
Well said. Agreed.
I think I see a lot branding, and we've talked so much about, I feel like half the things I'm saying, we've talked so much about on Talk With You. Yeah, I'm like, not again. I'm saying the same thing over and over again. But branding, I think, is going to be everything. With branding, if something drastic were to change to Medicare, you still have your client base that you can reach out to, and you have other policies that you could offer them, cancer insurance, life insurance, dental, vision, hearing. I mean, there's always going to be opportunity. Like you said, I totally agree with that. But with branding specifically, I think you're going to see retention goes up, referrals go up, and you're also, I mean, it's just across the board. I think that's really where the biggest opportunity is, because a lead's a lead, but how you retain that person, how you cross-sell them, how you turn them into a brand ambassador for you, right? How do you get that person talking to their relatives, talking to their friends about you or about your agency? So I think that's where we're going to see a big change. It's not going to be, here's Christian Brindle, the independent agent. It's Christian Brindle Insurance Services, right? Mm-hmm. Insurance services. There's a plural there. You do more than one thing, right? So
I like to think so.
Yeah. So I think that's really going to be a big part of the future of the space, for sure.
Totally agree. And Lester, you said something that kind of sprung a thought in me that I've always wondered. You mentioned scaling. There's a lot of agents that are successful salespeople that don't take the next step to scale.
Yep.
Why do you think that is? Loaded question.
This is a
loaded question hour.
But a great salesperson loves to sell. They love to do what they're good at. What they hate to do is be organized and have an admin or train an admin or be an office manager. So I give you a good example. And you and I may have had this conversation, but I talked to an agent this year, and he had built his Medicare book to 600 clients. And he was telling me his frustration of, all I do is service clients. All I do is answer questions. All I do is chase commissions. And, I can't sell anymore. So I'm frustrated. I'm making good money, but I'm frustrated because I can never seem to go to the next level. And that's the scale conversation. So you're a solo shop. You clearly hate service work, which I can understand. You want to go market and sell new prospects. So what do? So he actually hired one of his clients, who's a 72-year-old lady, worked from home, bought her a laptop, took a little bit of time and trained her. She is now his retention specialist.
Nice.
And he said, Lester, this is the best decision I've ever made. She works part-time. I pay her next to nothing. She enjoys it. She loves it. My retention is great. Now I could go market and sell all over again.
There you go.
I had another agent that we're actually working through this process with her right now. She had a book of 1,200. She was overwhelmed working by herself. Through AEP, she dropped to 1,064. So she lost 140 clients through AEP.
Wow.
So she's over her head because she doesn't have any help. So we're actually going through the process with her right now where we're finding employees that can come in and do some of the retention work, some of the service work, screener phone calls, like very basic things. And my question to an agent in that position is always the same. What would your life be like if all you had to do today was run appointments, close sales? There are people that are good at things that you aren't good at.
Yeah.
Leadership is surrounding yourself with people that are gifted in areas you are not. So that's the scale that's the initial scale conversation.
Yeah.
I've got to get out of the solo shop that is limited in my growth, get back to what I love doing, and then find opportunities to duplicate myself into my team. So this lady with the formerly book of 1,200 people, her goal is to bring in admin and retention that have the ability to potentially move into a sales role. Mm-hmm. And then she'll just consistently replace a retention specialist with a new salesperson. So the process is there. We just have to realize that, number one, we don't have to be a lone ranger. Number two, what are we willing to pay to grow, right? If you're losing 140 people a year, you better quickly decide it's time to part with some money or you'll never grow again.
Yeah.
So it's conversations like that, and there's obviously different levels of that, but you never have to stop growing because you have too much. You just have to reinvest into your business so you can continue to grow. And I think that's always the sticking point is I've got to pay more than I'm currently paying. Yeah, but how much more is that going to enable you to grow?
Right.
Yeah. So they're not hard conversations, but most agents that feel like they're lone rangers, they struggle with those decisions. And it's like writing a check to Glenn Sheldon. Does anybody write you checks? You might struggle with this, but we're going to get this conversation.
I'm going to start writing you checks instead of just actually.
We accept checks at Lead Heroes, you guys. P.O. Box 447.
Just to be a butt.
Ship it.
We'll be like,
We will deposit those checks.
Can I make my next custom calling order out in 4 checks over the course of like 4 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ship just cash. I'm opening cash envelopes. It's like, what is this?
Ones, single.
He's like getting dangerously close to my presentation.
I'm sorry.
No. Like,
So be
changing,
quiet,
like,
so be
no, I'm
quiet.
excited because it tells me that I'm on the right track and that it's relevant what I'm going to be speaking about tomorrow. And I think there's a couple. One thing is I don't think everyone should scale, right? So I think
Good. That's a great.
yeah,
point.
I think
Good
that's
point.
that's one thing I think is worth talking about because there is kind of the rhetoric or the talk that I'll see where it's like everyone should be scaling and growing. And some independent agents are happy as a solo person, and maybe there is a sweet spot where they don't want to grow. Maybe 1,000, 800, right? I don't know what the number is, and that's that's going to be
It's
to
individual.
the individual. Yeah, exactly. The flip side of that though is exactly what you were talking about. Why, if you are trying to scale and you're getting frustrated and you're feeling like you're just burning out, your wheels are turning, you're not going anywhere, why are you still doing those basic admin level tasks, right? And I think I'll stop there without having to repeat my I don't want to. I'm gonna end up getting to my presentation and duplicating what I'm saying, and no one will listen to me tomorrow. So.
Well, I'll take the bait, and hopefully I don't.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't go too far down that road. But so my boss, Ryan Campbell, he often reiterates to me, Lester, we pay you too much to do what we can pay somebody $15 an hour to do.
Yes.
And it's the exact same conversation. You're way too valuable as a salesperson to be doing office work. Like, why are you filing anything if that still exists? Like, why are you answering questions for clients that anybody off the street can answer if they know how to use the Google machine? Like, why are you doing that? You're way too valuable, and you would never pay somebody what you pay yourself to do those tasks. So it's an easy conversation if you think about it that way, but I'm guilty of it every single week. I'm doing something because I want it done quickly and I want it done right.
Right.
But we pay people to do that already. So why am I taking on that task?
The opposite perspective that I hear from agents, and I actually have I have a screenshotted email from an agent that I want to share during my presentation tomorrow. But
Is it me?
No, it's not. It's not here. And I'm not sure if the agent's going to be here or not. And when I was like doing my presentation, I was like,
Maybe I shouldn't.
It's
do
fine.
I was
this.
like, I don't
That's
know
fine.
if they're like that's their. But
Hey.
the flip side of it is the agent looks at it like I'm spending money, and they don't see the other side of it. Of what are you getting back when you spend the money on someone to free up your time? And so I think it's a paradigm shift. It's a perspective change. A lot of people are scared to spend money, and I get that, right? It's not a forever renewable resource, but at the same time,
Starting to get dangerously close to my presentation.
yeah, you
too,
got to
so.
spend money to make money, right? So I think, I mean, there's a lot I can say on this for sure. Yeah.
Christian, have you ever hesitated to spend marketing funds? Ever?
Yes, at the beginning, when I first, because remember where I started. I started spending nothing, cold calling, working 5-year-old direct mail leads,
Well,
and
if you
things
don't
like that.
have it, but it's a great topic though, because if
Yeah.
you don't have it, you can't spend it.
Yes.
So the conversation we always have is you invest one of two things. It's either time or money.
Yep.
Time is
Yeah.
the most valuable thing that you have. So understand that when you're not paying Lead Heroes to do this call campaign and you're choosing to do it, like you're spending the most valuable thing that you have. And yes, there is initially, if I don't have a capital investment to get me started, I have to spend time.
Yeah.
And I think it's, Christian, you say this a lot, it's some of the best training you can have is to actually do it yourself. But there has to be a point in time where it's no longer worth my time. And
Right.
now I have to pay somebody else, whether it's
Yes.
an internal employee or Glenn's team.
Right.
I got to
Anybody.
pay somebody else to do this.
Yeah.
Shout out virtual assistants.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a great point. I think like for me, I remember when I first started actually even just buying leads, like I wasn't doing any real marketing of my own.
Right.
I was just
Wasn't it-
buying leads, and
I wanna
it was
say-
terrifying for me.
6 years? How long until you finally buy? It was a long time.
But I started buying leads, but it was sporadic.
You were a very stubborn independent agent over there.
So I started buying leads probably year 4.
Yeah.
But it was sporadic.
Right.
It wasn't consistent. So I'd buy some and I wouldn't buy any more for 4 months. And I'd light the world on fire with what I bought. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, I don't need to buy anymore. We're good, for a little while.
Which again, that's so common, right? It sounds rare, but that's so common.
So when I hear you talking about agents, are like, this is what's holding them back. I'm like, you're literally talking about me.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
previous me. But now, I literally had to make myself get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because once I committed to, okay, I'm going to spend X, Y, Z every month, no matter what, no matter, it doesn't matter what's going on. It's like, I look at it the same as I look at mortgage payment or car payment. Like I have to spend it. It was a mental shift for me. Yep. And I think it's certainly helped our business. It certainly helped our agency grow a lot for me being willing to do that. But it was so scary every step of the way. And even there's still certain aspects.
What was it, like, while we're on the topic though, like what was the barrier that kept you from being consistent at that time? Was it just the cash flow? So sneak peek at my presentation tomorrow. So you guys, just when you hear this tomorrow, pretend like you didn't, and pretend like it's insightful. You got an exclusive first preview.
I looked at the expense as an expense and not an investment.
Right.
Most agents look at buying leads, marketing
100%.
As an expense, and there's no chance of ROI.
Yep.
And they need to understand that I'm spending this with the expectation it's going to bring me more than I'm spending.
Right.
And I needed to make that mental shift in my head.
Yeah.
Once that finally clicked and I finally got that, that's when I think it changed for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens. You probably see it on your end too, Lester. It happens all the time where someone will order leads. I'm talking to them, how did it go? How was that first round of marketing? They give me positive feedback. I don't hear from them for months. And so it's like, were they lying to me? Or they're just trying to be nice? But no, it's like, just like you were saying, it's a mindset. It really is. It's a mindset.
And there's some people that get it right away. Like there's every now and then I'll run into an agent that they'll spend $2,000 on a direct mail campaign, right? It pulls decent. They make a good return of investment and they're like, oh, and it just clicks and they're like, I can keep putting money in and I can keep getting whatever my ROI is on this. And it just clicks. For most people, I don't think it does. Naturally. I think
it doesn't.
I think
we'd have higher producers if it did.
Yes.
Yeah, we wouldn't have 88% of agents failing out every 2 years. Yeah.
The question I always get though is, what are your top producers spending on a consistent basis? And what we see is if they're spending at least $4,000 a month in leads, they're going to be a consistently solid performer. If they're not, it's going to be up and down. And let's be honest, we all get a little stale in our sales approach. And the fewer presentations you make, even if you're a good salesperson, the fewer presentations you make, the less effective or efficient you are.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing it consistently, what's the goal, right? You got to have a goal. 2, you have to build your business plan. And most agents don't have a business plan because we ask for them and they're like, deer in the headlights. They have no idea what you want. Right. So I've got to have a business plan that says X dollars of every penny that comes through the door goes back out in marketing. You plan for taxes. Why don't we plan for marketing?
Right.
And the reality is we have to set our sales goals double what we think they're supposed to be to plan for the expenses that we know we're going to have.
Yeah.
What you said there about a business plan. See, a lot of agents come into the space looking for a job or their experience as an agent where it really was a job. These call center agents that we've been talking about, a lot of them, they're on a salary. They're not thinking about marketing. Yeah, they're not thinking about marketing. They're just looking at the sales and how much they're making, and they have a nice salary on top of it a lot of times. So coming from that world into, okay, I'm an independent agent. I have my own agency, and all of the dynamics of business, like marketing, like taxes, they're not ready for
part of running a business.
I would love at the state level, this is a radical idea for any government officials that may watch this or
no politics.
I know there's insurance. Utah Insurance Commissioner, if you can hear me, I think if we could if we could incorporate business planning and business strategy in at the licensing level, yeah, I think we would see a night and day difference. If there was some basic business components that an agent had to learn before they got their license, I think that'd be huge. That'd be everything.
So I could let this conversation go on for another 2 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to cut it short
Oh,
because we have to get ready for
we do.
check-in and getting ready for check-in. But
Yes.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
This was amazing. I love this conversation. And thanks all of you for being here.
Yeah.
I actually love having
is
a
fun.
live audience
Yeah,
here. This
this
is
is
like
fun.
my favorite Taco
I'm
Tuesday
excited
of all
for
time.
tomorrow. Yeah.
So if you guys aren't here, I'm sad.
Yeah.
I wish you were here.
Hey,
But
next year.
it's always next year,
Next
right?
year.
There's always next year. Until next time, guys, we'll be back
Keep eating
And,
tacos.
and keep selling insurance.
That's right. Woohoo.